Hi, my name is Qasim. I've built 6 million and multi-million dollar businesses. I've had 2 successful exits, one for 8 figures. I've generated a $10,000,000 net worth, and my new goal in life is to help as many people as I possibly can achieve what I call 3X freedom. 3X freedom means financial freedom, freedom of dimension refers to time and location, and freedom of purpose. Now, in order to achieve 3X freedom, we have to change the way that we think about money. As a matter of fact, I want to challenge conventional wisdom as it pertains to how we're taught to think about money. And I really think that's true, by the way. I think that we are taught to think about money by people who do not have our best interests at heart. And I'm not claiming conspiracy. I don't think that's what it is at all. Instead, the economy is a system that is strengthened by the more people that are in the economic flywheel, meaning the more people that are beholden to the economic system that we've built, the more people that rely on it, the more people that can't opt out, the stronger it gets. What that really means is everybody in your life, for the most part, wants you inside of this system because it makes you predictable. And that's your coworkers, your boss, your subordinates, your investment banker, even your friends and family. They want you in the system because then they know who you are, what you do, and the limited options that it provides makes you a safer entity to be around. People who aren't a part of the system make other people uncomfortable. And so we're forced into this system, by coercion, if not force. And we're asked very strongly to participate at an absolute minimum. And it means that we're trapped. It means that we're trapped. So if you want freedom, the first thing we need to do is we need to change the way that we think about money. And that's what I want to do with this video. The framework that I like to start with, the paradigm that I want to start with is think about your economic life as a system of machines. And the reason we're going to do that is because it allows us to think logically. When we're thinking about people, empathy kicks in right away, I hope. And so should it, right? Like, people deserve empathy. It makes it difficult to make decisions when you're thinking from an empathic perspective. But when we think about a series of machines, we can think logically, and then we can weave empathy in. So let's talk for a minute about machines. Every machine works, roughly speaking, about the same way. And I'm going to draw my rudimentary version of a machine. So here's a machine. All machines are input-output mechanisms. In, out. You put something into the machine, and something comes out. So if we're talking about sprockets, you put metal in the machine, and sprockets come out. If we're talking about a computer, you would put data into the machine, and information comes out. If you're talking about sausage, meat in the machine, sausage comes out. You get the idea. So all machines are input-output mechanisms. Now, here's what's really interesting. The very first type of machine, generally speaking, that you're introduced to in your economic life, when you reach, pseudo-adulthood, let's say, is the time for money machine. Meaning you put a certain amount of time in, and money comes out. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is many machines, as a matter of fact, I'll say most machines, exist on something like a fulcrum. Meaning there's leverage available in either direction. So we can increase the efficiency of this model. And that's what the fulcrum is meant to refer to. And if you don't understand what I just said, bear with me because we're going to get there, I promise you. But let's put this into more specific terms, okay? If you're playing the time for money game, and by the way, I'm so sick of all the armchair financial thought leaders saying, never trade time for money. Time for money is a bad trade. Okay. Sure, I actually agree with that on a long enough timeline, but in the beginning, what else do you have? If you're talking to young people, if you're talking to people trying to escape the 9-to-5 rat race, if you're talking to people that weren't born with a silver spoon, like, we didn't have anything to begin with but time. So if you're trading time for money, that's okay. That's the trade that you have. Most trades are time for money. Most people that don't think they trade time for money do. I've got a buddy who owns a portfolio of real estate, and he's like, oh, I'm out of the rat race. I don't trade time for money anymore. It's one of his favorite little mantras is, oh, I never trade time for money. I look at the amount of time it takes him to manage the portfolio he has. He definitely trades time for money. He just does it in a different way. Now, he's moved the fulcrum. Good for him. And he does it on his terms. Awesome. He's still trading time for money. So don't beat yourself up about a time for money trade. Most people are trading time for money even if they don't know it. If you're a business owner, and you think you don't trade time for money, I challenge that. Can you walk away from your business for an indefinite period of time and continue to make money without the business atrophying? If not, you are trading time for money to some degree. So time for money trade is not an inadequate trade, especially in the very beginning. Now, on a long enough timeline, we absolutely want to work ourselves out of that. And I think this framework is going to help. But in the beginning, be a little forgiving with yourself. So here's what I'd like to say is, let's put this in real terms. Let's say that you put in an hour and $20 comes out. What does that mean? It means you're getting paid $20 an hour. Just to use round numbers and easy math, so I can actually do the math here. Well, most people work 8 hours a day, which in this framework means most people would make $160 a day. Now, everybody wants to make more money. The rudimentary thinking when I want to make more money is what? I want more money. I want the amount of money that I make to go up. And the only thing available and accessible to me in this current framework, if I want my money to go up, is to do what? To increase the amount of time that I put into our time for money machine. So if I put more time in, more money will come out. Mission accomplished, right? There's a problem. You have a very limited amount of time. You actually have less time than you think. You'll hear people say, there's only 24 hours in a day. No, there's not. No, there's not. 16 hours in a day, really. Why? Because 8 hours is spoken for. You have to sleep. Maybe you're one of the lucky people that only has to sleep for 6 hours. Fine, don't care. Conceptually, the thought stands. A third of your day is sleeping. Now, you're already working a third of your day, so you can't retrade that time. So what do you have left? You have the rest of your life, the 1/3 of your day that's meant for you, for errands, for recreation, for, most importantly, your purpose. This is what you get to trade with. And we're going to take this, let's say that you want more money and it's worth the trade temporarily. You're going to take this and you're going to plug it into your time for money machine. What do we get to do? We go from 8 to 16, best case scenario, assuming you can maintain that pace, and you double your income. And you're tapped out. You're at absolute max. And by the way, I don't care if you're like, oh, I don't make $20 an hour, I make $50 an hour. Great. Framework still stays the same. The most amount of time that you can put in is double the average. The most amount of additional time that you can put into this time for money machine is double the average, and then you're tapped out and you have no time for friends, family, recreation, fun, purpose, etc. And to be frank, I actually think you're going to burn out, but maybe not. I worked 80 hours a week for 20 years, right? Like it's sustainable. It's less than ideal. So what do? What option do we have available and accessible to ourselves? I will show you. I'm so glad you asked. Let me copy this. What a fun little application this is. All right. Here is our time for money machine. And we've already decided that the time for money trade is an adequate trade in the early stages of our career, right? So we're putting time in, money's coming out, fan-freaking-tastic. If we want more money, we move the fulcrum. And you're like, wait a minute, Qasim, you're cheating. No, not. Move the fulcrum. This is leverage. You move the fulcrum by making yourself more valuable. How do you make yourself more valuable? This can be on-the-job training, working harder, getting a promotion, going back to school and getting a degree. Don't do that, by the way. I haven't seen a degree be economically valuable in the last 20 years. I don't think they're viable any longer. Unless, doctor, lawyer, accountant, sure, maybe. But even then, I can't tell you the number of doctors who are like, gosh, I wish I could be an entrepreneur. You move the fulcrum by making your time more valuable. This refers, generally speaking, to skilled labor. What skill do you have that can make your time more valuable? What's interesting is this becomes something of its own flywheel. I think the best thing you can do if you're not sure is to start a business. It's to be a business owner. Being a business owner instantly moves the fulcrum, even if you haven't increased the amount of value you can bring to the table. If you're a chef, you're going to make less than if you own a restaurant. In theory, right? Now, there's a whole bunch of caveats to that. I know a lot of restaurant owners just roll their eyes at me and are probably throwing things at their screen, but play with me from a conceptual framework. Starting a business is the first thing you can do to move the fulcrum. Now, here's the most important thing for you to realize. When you start a business, you do not decrease the amount of time you need to put inside of the time for money machine. As a matter of fact, you probably increase it. Far too often, 9-to-5ers who want to escape the rat race start thinking to themselves like, oh gosh, I wish I could be my own boss. I wish I could own my own business. And they think that, oh, if I'm my own boss, I'm going to be awesome. No, you're not. You're going to be the worst boss that you've ever had in your entire life. You're going to be something of a slave driver, to be honest with you. That's the framework and the mindset to approach owning your own business. Now, if you're willing to make that trade, to insert more time in the beginning, it's also the most reliable path to financial freedom in the economic world. And that's a statistical truism, by the way. Far too often, people cite real estate as the thing that's made high net worth individuals. So if you look at the data, and I've obsessed over the data says that high net worth individuals come from real estate investments. What it doesn't tell you, though, it's confirmation bias. What it doesn't tell you is where those people got the money to invest in real estate in the first place. And I actually learned this from my friend Perry Belcher, who's done a deep dive. He's writing a book on this right now. The money to invest in real estate, I think to the tune of 68% of the time, comes from business exits. The only thing really left, and then the other 20 or 25% of the time comes from inheritance, and then the remainder are things like lottery winners and, big lawsuit settlements. So the majority of the time, unless you're going to inherit the money, in which case, God bless, best of luck to you. That's awesome. Not all of us have that opportunity, according to the data, is selling a business. So if you're going to start a business, don't think to yourself, oh, I'm going to start a business to make more money on a monthly basis, right? That's the wrong way to think about it. It's, I'm going to start a business to sell, to create an asset. I'm going to build a machine. We're going to go back to our machine model. I want us to think about our economic life as machines. So let's say that you've done this. Let's say that you've started a business. Your business, you still have to work inside of your business. So your business is still a time for money machine. You're putting time in, money's coming out. Your fulcrum's, properly optimized. It can always be more optimized, but it's properly optimized. Let's now talk about the money. You're putting, change my color. Money is green. Money green. You're putting time in, bam, bam, and money comes out. Out comes this little packet of money. And this little packet of money is what you make every single month in a properly optimized time for money machine. Here's our money, okay? Let me show you what the entire world does. The entire world takes all of the money that they make and they do what? They burn it. They burn it in something that I call the U machine. Now, remember, we're thinking about our whole life as our whole economic life is a system or a series of machines. So the very first thing we have is we have our time for money machine, right? Here's our time for money machine. And the time for money machine, we put time in and the money comes out. And then the money goes into what? It goes into this U machine. And notice that at absolute best, we're spending as much money. See how these are equal, roughly speaking? We're spending as much money as we make on our U machine. So our money drops into here, and then this is the fuel that funds our U machine. And this, by the way, is one of the most important lessons I want you to take away from this video. Money is fuel. This, I think, is one of the most important lessons, one of the most important key takeaways. If you take nothing else away but this, I think you're going to be massively better off. Money is fuel. So most people put time into the time for money machine, money comes out, and then they take that money and they use it to fuel the U machine. Now, what is the U machine? Y stands for yearnings. O stands for obligations. And U stands for anything that is unearned. What does this mean? Yearnings, wants. Obligations, needs. Unearned, debt. So you put all of your time, all of your available time into this time for money machine. The time for money machine produces money, which is fuel. You take that fuel and you burn 100% of it. And that, by the way, again, is a statistical truism. Most people spend everything that they make. You burn 100% of it in your U machine. And you burn 100% of it in varying degrees. Let's say that you're doing whatever it ends up being. 40% goes to wants, 40% goes to needs, and then 20% goes to debts. It doesn't matter. Why? All of this equals 100%. Now, what do some people do? Some people actually spend 101% or more on their U machine. So what happens? That means the U machine grows, right? Now we've got a bigger U machine. And if we have a bigger U machine, what does that mean? That means that we need more money. We have to earn more money. What does that mean? That means that we have to go back here and we have to inject more time, or we have to further optimize our time for money machine. Here's what's really interesting is most people that optimize their time for money machine, let's say that we do that. Let's say we optimize our time for money machine. We were making 200 grand a year, work our ass off, start a business, goes great. We're crushing life. We're able to 2x, right? We've moved the fulcrum further. We've 2x'd. So from 200K a year, we've moved to 400K a year. Look at us. What do people do? They come back around here. They increase the size of their U machine. As their money increases, so too does their U machine. All the fuel that they are producing goes into their U machine. And as they produce more fuel, their U machine expands. How does it expand? It expands by taking on more debt, buying a bigger house, buying nicer cars, going on vacation, eating out, drinking lattes, whatever. It doesn't matter. Wants, needs, and debts begin to expand. Now, this is the trap. And this, by the way, is the trap that everybody wants you in. This is the trap that everybody wants you in because it makes you a good consumer. It makes you an active participant. It means that you have to work, you have to play the game, you have to come in. And again, if you own a business, fine. You're really still an employee until that business runs itself. I hate to say that, but it's true. You don't own a business, you own a job. And when you're spending everything that you make, when you're burning your fuel with your U machine, you're putting yourself in a position where you have to participate, which is where the entire economic world wants you. So let's adjust this framework a little bit. Let's look at this from an ideal perspective. What would happen if we actually did it in our own best interests? So here's our time for money machine. We put time in, money comes out. And I'm not even messing with the fulcrum. Fulcrum is wherever it is, okay? The amount of money that comes out is this big, right? Here's our money. You already know where I'm going with this. What if your U machine is only this big? Here's your U machine. Now what? Well, you use your fuel to fund your U machine, but half of our fuel's left over. Where does this fuel go? The fuel goes into savings, right? We're taught to save. It goes into savings, doesn't it? Savings is garbage. Savings is worthless. Savings is what you're taught by the same people that want you enslaved. It's just another trick. It's a parlor trick because they know that if you put your money in savings, number one, the value of that money atrophies because of inflation. Number two, it doesn't help you escape the rat trap. That's why everybody wants you to invest for retirement. Oh, make sure you're saving for retirement. Don't forget to invest for retirement because they don't want you using the money now. They want you to push all the money into the future so you continue to be a good economic participant. Savings is a garbage paradigm. All of your money should go into investments. Investments do what? Investments yield. Now, I'm not telling you to use high-risk investments, right? The government T-bonds for a while were up to like 7% or something insane. You can put your money in things that are absolutely foolproof for in as much as something can be within the confines of our environment. So, for instance, you can invest in secure vehicles. I'm not telling you to be foolish with your money. But what I am saying is invest in things that yield. Don't invest in things that are going to lock your money up until you're 65. Start investing in other machines. This is a machine, right? However, the investment machines are different. Why are they different? They have inputs. Just like every other machine, they have outputs. But unlike our time for money machine, money comes in, more money comes out. And this starts to get magic. If you were putting time into a time for money machine, money's coming out, but you're not spending all that money. As a matter of fact, you're spending as little money as you possibly can. Your U machine is as small as you can possibly make it, right? This is the tiniest possible machine in existence, functionally, that's still viable. You get to take all of your extra money and you get to put it in investment machines. And this can be other businesses, this can be real estate, this can actually, interestingly, and this gets a little cyclical, but this can be your business, yielding assets. All your money goes into investment machines. Here's where things get magic. Where things get magic is where you can take your entire U machine and fund it completely from your investments. And this, by the way, this is what freedom looks like. Freedom looks like you being able to pay for everything, paying for all of your earnings, all of your obligations, anything unearned. So all of your wants, needs, and debts are paid for by your investment. What does this mean? This means that you can actually, if you wanted to, you can turn off your time for money machine because now you are self-contained. You live off of the investments that you've created and you are 100% free. This is how you achieve financial freedom. But it requires being radical. It requires being radical in a number of ways. I think one of the most important ways is making your U machine as small as it can possibly be. And y'all, I'm not talking out of the side of my mouth. I did this. I was a liquid millionaire living in a teeny tiny shoebox condo. It was the cheapest price per square foot sold in that zip code that year. My wife at the time and I had one car. We shared a vehicle. We had a newborn baby in Arizona living in a second-story condo without a garage. So the car is hot and we're carting groceries up and down this garage while also trying to keep our little guy cool. And you're thinking to yourself like, gosh, Kasam, why are you torturing your family? Those are the sacrifices we made. And you might not agree with them, but that's what we did. We didn't take big, elaborate vacations. I remember I found this really cool website called go-today.com. It's out of business now. But we did our honeymoon on $1,500, all in. Flights and hotels and rental cars and breakfast every day in Ireland. We did for $1,500. So I'm not telling you not to live. What I am saying is make your U machine as small as you possibly can. You don't need a Mercedes. 20-year-old Toyotas are tanks. They're tanks. You cannot run those cars into the ground, even if you try. Your kids don't all need their own room. You actually don't even need your own house. If you're in a house, go live in a condo. If you're in a condo, go live in a trailer. If you can live in your mom's basement, go do that. Make your U machine as small as you possibly can. Sack your lunch. Forgo the lattes. The thing that's really interesting about all expenses is expenses follow expenses. So you might say to yourself, like, well, you know what? I deserve a nice car. And I'm going to lease that BMW. I don't care what that mean brown man says. Here's the thing about the BMW. It's not just the car. So like the car payment's more expensive otherwise, but you're going to justify it because you're like, look, the Honda Civic was $250 a month. I can get a BMW for $350 a month. Okay, great. What's the gas? Now you go from regular to premium, right? And your gas is 30% more than it should be. What's the insurance? Your car insurance probably doubles. How much does your tire cost? As you pop a tire. Those tires on the BMWs, I think like $1,500 a tire, or I don't know what, because I don't drive a BMW. What do the oil changes cost? Can you park the car outside? You know, when I go to Sky Harbor Airport and I'm going to be gone for a week and a half, I can park my car wherever I want because I drive Kias and Hyundais because they have 10-year, 100,000-mile warranties. And your BMW has to be in covered parking, and you're super worried about it getting dinged and dented and scratched. And when that happens, well, that's extra money too because you got the special filament and BMW, blah, 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 blah. I'm not wealth shaming. I'm not trying to make you feel bad if you drive a BMW. Although, to be honest with you, if you're not financially free, stop that. Stop that. Stop doing the things that keep you enslaved. That's the way that I want you to think about it. That's why this is so, so important. You are, instead of capturing fuel, you are taking your fuel and you are burning it on a BMW. That, by the way, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 years from now, you're not going to like or want because it's the old model and everybody who drives a BMW wants the new model, right? That's the way these things work. You don't need Netflix. You don't need a gym membership. The places I won't compromise on are safety and health. So that little condo I told you about, it was in a very, very, very safe neighborhood in a great school district. And we always bought organic food, right? So find the places that you won't compromise. And by the way, the places you don't compromise are different than the places that I won't compromise. Maybe you're a car nut. And you're like, dude, if I'm not able to, mess around, tinker with cars, like that's my thing. Great, fine. I think everybody needs one place where they're allowed to spend in a way that would be considered illogical. Mine, for the longest time, was guns. I love guns. I know that's really weird, especially if you're European and watching this. You're like, what are with Americans and guns? I don't know. I just liked them. So I'd go shooting. Ammunition's expensive. I'd, do these excursions. I got to go shooting with a Navy SEAL once. That was super cool. I like guns. And so that's where I would let myself splurge a little if I was going to splurge. I do think you need those areas, but that's not what's killing you. What's killing you isn't your one hobby. What's killing you is the way that you look at and think about money. And if you think about money as fuel, and you think about money that's fuel being produced by your time, you're trading your time for this fuel, and then you're burning the fuel. Trade your time for fuel and invest that fuel in other machines that create even more fuel. Here's the rule. Money that you buy with your time can't be spent on anything else other than absolute necessities and then machines that make you more money. Now, the money that the machines make you spend that on whatever you want. You can get a BMW for every day of the week in a different color if you want to. Have at it. Doesn't matter, right? Because you are now self-contained. You're not beholden to this system that wants to keep you enslaved. Look up, I asked ChatGPT the definition of the word slavery. It says, work performed under threat of punishment or coercion. Right now, what happens if you stop working? You lose everything, don't you? You lose your house, you lose your car, you lose your business, you lose your assets, you lose respect, you might lose your spouse. That's slavery. Is these expenditures worth being enslaved? The answer is no. I'll answer for you. The answer is no. I want you to be free. And I realize that this is an inconvenient truth, but it's the truth. You need to do a couple of things. First, most importantly, you need to make your U machine as small as you possibly can. That means unloading debt faster than you've ever done in the history of history. Start with your highest interest loans, pay them off, or if you want to be more radical, there's other ways to get rid of debt. And I don't know that I necessarily want to talk about that or encourage it because I'm not your financial advisor. Get rid of your debt as fast as you can. Make your U machine as small as you possibly can. Think about 150 years ago, what people lived off of. The poorest people in Western society have higher quality of life than the wealthiest people in the 1800s. If you have air conditioning, central heat, like, oh my goodness. We don't need all these luxuries. Downsize your life, downsize your home, downsize your vehicle, downsize your habits, your eating out, your travel. Kids don't need to go to Disneyland. What would be better for your kids to go to Disneyland every year and you be enslaved, or 5 years from now, you be 100% financially free? And when you're financially free, guess who else is free? Your children, right? That's legacy. But you have to forego some things. So step number 1, downsize the size of your U machine. Step number 2, increase the value of your time. Move the fulcrum. So that's, if you don't want to start your own business, that's improve your skills. If you're willing to start your own business, that's where I think, to be honest with you, that's the greatest opportunity for all of us. Decrease the size of your U machine, increase the value of your time, move the fulcrum, and then begin putting your money in investments, not savings. Savings don't help you. It's money under the mattress. All it does is atrophy, dies, just like any other fuel, right? Becomes obsolete. Invest it. Invest. What's really fun, get this is where I am now. Not to brag, but it's true. Here's where I am now. Ready? I don't know if I'm going to be able to draw this. Let's delete all this. So all my money, and I still trade time for money, right? You know, my businesses cost me my time and et cetera, et cetera. But all my money goes into investments because I'm 100% financially free. And then all the money from my investments, guess where that goes? Guess. Can you guess? Other investments. And then all the money from those investments, guess where that money goes? I have, as of this recording, 5 and going on 6-figure incomes separate. I have 5 and I'm about to have a 6th 6-figure income from various investments. And I invest in properties. I love single family homes. I invest in real estate syndications. I do hard money loans. I invest in businesses. I have a portfolio of businesses, many of which require 0 of my time, by the way. That's a real investment. So it's not that I own a job, but this is where this waterfall that you can put yourself in, where your money goes into investments, the money from your investments goes to investments, the money from those investments goes to investments. And then guess what? My U machine can be as big as I want it to be, right? But it's not. I live in, if you see the home I live in, it's 2 standard deviations under my tax bracket. I drive a 40-year-old Honda. And again, not wealth shaming, but I'm just letting you know, I'd rather have the money because money to me is fuel. And I had an opportunity very recently. There was a business that has a $10 million valuation that was available for $1 million, but it had to be purchased effectively that day. The deal ended up falling through. But what I found really interesting is in my circle of very high net worth friends, I was one of the only people that had it because so many people are asset rich and cash poor. I had $1 million. So I had a shot at, in 24 hours, investing $1 million and making 10 because somebody else really needed the money. Money gives you options. That's what fuel does. Money lets you fuel whatever it is that you want. So even when you become wealthy, like, still look at money as fuel. And when you do, it changes everything. It changes your perspective and your paradigm. It helps you not just achieve freedom, but it helps you help other people achieve freedom, which, by the way, is what I'm doing here. It's what I'm doing for you. I'm spending my time. I don't have a consulting offer. There's nothing on the back end of this that I'm going to try to sell you. To be honest with you, I have the sad, pathetic personality that enjoys attention. So I do want to be nerd famous. I want to hit 1 million subscribers. And as much as anything else, I want to help. I want you to be where I am. This is amazing. It's amazing. I never have to worry about money again. I was raised by a blind single mother on Social Security disability in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Me and my little brother were welfare babies. And I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like not to know how to pay rent, not to know where your next meal is coming. I've felt that way since I was 7 years old. I don't want anybody to ever feel that way again. I want you to feel how I feel now. I have 2 little boys. They go to private Montessori schools. We travel the world. We're still frugal. We're still smart, but we're free. I'll be free forever. My children are free forever. I want you to be free forever. I want your kids to be free forever. I want you to have all the options available and accessible to you. I don't want you to have to do work that you don't want to do. I don't want you to feel I don't want you to have to wake up in the morning if you don't want to wake up. I can cancel any meeting on my calendar. There's nothing I'm beholden to because I've achieved freedom. I've achieved financial freedom, time and location freedom, and freedom of purpose. And here I am. I'm executing on my purpose. And I'm having a really good time doing it. So if this was helpful to you, I'd love to know. I'd actually really love to have a conversation in the comments. This is my very first time doing this, draw my ideas out, but I'd still love your feedback. I'd love your coaching. More than anything, if I've helped you, I want to reach 1 million subscribers. That's my goal. I'm hoping I can do it in the year of 2025. As I say that, I feel a little bit of a vulnerability hangover because I'm like, gosh, depending on how short I fall, this is going to be embarrassing. But I'm just going to be bold and put it out there. If you want to help me share, and tell people why you're sharing, because nobody watches a video that's just, oh, hey, check this out. Give context. Be specific. Man, I really love the guy. I really love the way he articulated this point. Or I really hated what he said here, and I absolutely disagreed. Whatever it might end up being, I would love your help, your support, your assistance, and the way that you can do that for me is share. I want to be YouTube famous. I've got other videos on a lot of the frameworks that I've talked about here, so go check out the YouTube channel and kind of poke around. I hope I get to see you again. Thank you so much for watching.